Why is it that so many guys find themselves constantly initiating conversations with women who barely respond? You send that, "Hey," or "How's your day going?" text, wait anxiously for a reply, only to get a one-word response hours later. And somehow, you're right back at square one the next day, repeating the same exhausting cycle. Have you ever wondered what it would feel like if she was the one reaching out to you first? What if instead of always being the one making the effort, you opened your phone to find her name lighting up your notifications? It's possible, and today I'm going to show you exactly how to make that happen. But first, we need to understand what's really going on when you're trapped in this endless loop of texting first. When you're always initiating contact, you're creating an imbalanced dynamic. Think about it. You've established a pattern where she expects your text. There's zero mystery, zero curiosity, and, most importantly, zero space for her to wonder about you. Pause for a moment. When something is guaranteed, we take it for granted. When something is uncertain, we become curious. We pay attention. We invest energy. You were told showing interest means always making the first move. That pursuing means never giving her the chance to pursue you. But that advice has led you straight into a trap. Let me be clear. This isn't about playing mind games. This is about understanding human psychology and creating space for genuine attraction to develop. The truth is, we value what we work for. We become invested in what requires our effort. So what's really happening when you're always texting first? You're signaling that your attention is guaranteed, always available. And in doing so, you've removed any need for her to invest in the connection. Now, let's talk about the real solution. And no, it's not just stop texting her. The key lies in creating a vacuum. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does human connection. When you step back from being the initiator, you create space that can only be filled by her increased interest. Here's how you make this work in 3 phases. Phase 1. Establish genuine connection. Before you can expect someone to pursue you, you need to ensure there's something worth pursuing. Have real conversations that go beyond small talk. Share stories that reveal your values. Ask questions that invite her to open up about her passions. Create emotional touchpoints that stick in her mind when you're not around. This initial investment gives her something to miss. You're not just a text notification. You're a person who made her feel something. During this phase, yes, you will initiate conversations, but with purpose and depth, not just to maintain contact. Phase 2. Create rhythmic inconsistency. Once you've established that foundation, vary your texting patterns. If you've been texting every morning, don't. If you always respond immediately, occasionally wait a few hours. This isn't about being unavailable. It's about having a life that doesn't revolve around your phone. The key is unpredictability within reason. You're not disappearing for days. You're simply breaking the pattern that has trained her to expect your constant initiative. This creates what psychologists call intermittent reinforcement, one of the most powerful motivators of human behavior. When rewards come at unpredictable intervals, we become more engaged, more invested in obtaining them. When was the last time you checked your phone compulsively for a response? It wasn't from someone who always replies instantly. It was from someone whose response you couldn't predict. Phase 3. Exit and create space. This is where most men make a critical mistake. They reduce contact but still hover nearby, metaphorically speaking. They like her social media posts. They view her stories. They make themselves constantly visible without actually engaging. Instead, truly step back. End conversations on high notes rather than letting them fade into boring small talk. Leave her with something interesting to think about rather than extracting every possible word from each interaction. When you do this properly, something remarkable happens. The space you've created becomes a canvas for her imagination. She begins to wonder what you're doing, who you're with, why you haven't reached out, and eventually she'll break the pattern herself. She'll text first. Now, let's address the fears that might be coming up for you. What if she never texts me? What if she forgets about me entirely? This is where most guys panic and revert to old patterns. But consider this. If she doesn't reach out after you've established genuine connection and simply created some space, was she ever really that interested? By giving her the opportunity to show interest, you're also getting valuable information about where you stand. And that clarity, even if it's not the answer you hoped for, is infinitely more valuable than the limbo of never knowing. Remember, this approach requires confidence. Not the superficial confidence of pretending you don't care, but the genuine confidence of knowing that your value doesn't depend on constant validation from text messages. Here's another critical point. When she does text first, and she will, don't punish her effort with minimal responses. Reward her initiative with engagement. Show her that reaching out to you leads to meaningful connection, not just brief acknowledgement. This creates a positive feedback loop. She initiates, you respond with genuine interest, she experiences the reward of your attention, and she becomes more likely to initiate again. Let me walk you through a concrete example. Instead of, "Good morning, how are you?" every day, try sharing something specific and thought-provoking when you do text. Just saw the most amazing street art that reminded me of what you said about urban spaces last week. Made me curious. If you could redesign any part of this city, what would you change? This accomplishes several things at once. It shows you were listening to her previously. It gives her something interesting to respond to, and it invites her to share her thoughts in a way that generic questions don't. Then, after a good exchange, be the one to end the conversation first. Heading into a meeting now, but this was great. Looking forward to hearing more about your design ideas sometime. Now, you've left things on a positive note with a thread she can pick up later, rather than dragging the conversation until it becomes stale. The next day, don't text. Give her the opportunity to reach out. And if she doesn't, that's valuable information too. I want to emphasize something important. This approach only works when it comes from a place of genuine self-respect, not from manipulation or fear. If you're reducing contact because you're trying to trick someone into wanting you, they'll sense that insecurity. But if you're creating space because you genuinely understand your own value, that authentic confidence is magnetic. Think about how you feel when someone is constantly seeking your approval versus someone who's comfortable in their own skin, offering connection without demanding validation. Which person do you find more attractive? Now, let's address some specific scenarios. What if you've already established a pattern of always texting first? How do you break it without seeming sudden? The key is gradual transition. Start by extending the time between your initiations. If you normally text every morning, wait until afternoon. Then skip a day. Create a gentle slope rather than a cliff edge. What if she asks why you're texting less? This is actually a positive sign. It means she's noticed. Be honest, but confident. I realized I've been pretty glued to my phone lately, trying to be more present in my day-to-day life. What if she seems relieved by your reduced contact? Again, valuable information. Perhaps the connection wasn't what you thought it was. This approach creates clarity. It removes the ambiguity that keeps so many men stuck in texting limbos for weeks. It accelerates the process of either building mutual interest or recognizing its absence. Let's summarize the core principles. Establish genuine connection first. You can't create desire for something that wasn't compelling to begin with. Vary your patterns to create healthy unpredictability. Break the expectation that you'll always be the initiator. Exit conversations while they're still engaging, leaving threads that can be picked up later. Create true space for her to step into. Don't hover digitally while pretending to be distant. Reward her initiative when it comes, rather than playing power games. And perhaps most importantly, this is as much about your relationship with yourself as it is about her texting habits. When you're no longer seeking validation from message notifications, when you're genuinely engaged with your own life, you become naturally more attractive. Your time and attention become more valuable because they're not constantly available. The ultimate irony is this: the less you need her to text you first, the more likely she is to do exactly that. So take a deep breath, put down your phone, trust that what's meant for you won't require constant pursuit. By creating space, you're not just changing your texting habits, you're reclaiming your power. The next time you feel that urge to send the first text, ask yourself, what would happen if I trusted my own worth enough to let her come to me? Try it. You might be surprised by who reaches out when you finally create the space for it to happen.